Um, I'm back with another rather substantial update to my rig. I upgraded the radiators and the pump because I was dealing with a lot of noise with the DDC. That single DDC on the distro plate was super loud and annoying. And I needed to run it at 100% for reasons which I'll show you in a second. The thermals were impacted. Like if you run the DDC at like 50%, 60% RPM, it's amazing. I don't know if it's because I have a distribution plate or if I have a lot of bends. But dude, I'm not kidding. I'm gonna show you right now. If I run this, well, it's same situation with the DDC, but if I run this serial D5, I get two D5's. One, two. This is a EK with the Revo serial top. If I run them at 40% RPM, which is nice because it's completely inaudible, dude, it's nice, and I run it like this when I'm mining crypto and stuff, but the temps are like 4 degrees higher. It's 4 fucking degrees. So I had to figure this out because I was like, well, it doesn't sound that loud. Oh, that's my refrigerator. Hold on. It's so fucking annoying. Oh, it always wants to do this when I'm recording. God damn it. I need to get one of the refrigerators that just doesn't make any noise at all. Anyhow. Yeah. It's basically inaudible right now. There's a slight buzzing noise, and that's coming from this rear, believe it or not. This rear stupid 90mm fan. I have a replacement coming from Be Quiet. But I have pictures, man. We're talking about like 4 or 5 days of work here. I mounted two. I had 2 spare NZXT 90mm fans left over from my G10 brackets that I put down there in the bottom of the chassis, directing airflow. You can see, kind of see them there. Very nice, very nice. They fit perfect. And the fitment, oh man, the fitment is just absolutely perfect. It's crazy how, like, I have like literally like 2 millimeters of space there in between this 360 XE and the top CE 420. And that comes into play because I'm running noise blocker E-loops, B12Ps in the front. These fans, dude, these fans are 6 years old. I have a post-build vid from 2014 with my Air 540 and 270 Ti's with AIOs, and I had these fans way back then, and I still have them. They've outlived all my other fans. I mean, yeah, so I love these with these the Fantex. I think they're the 140 MPs. Great static pressure fans, but I've already had one fail since install. Well, they might be older than 2017. Anyhow, these fans are awesome. I love how they're very quiet. They move a lot of air, good static pressure, and they look really nice too. They have a really nice look to them. I'm a big fan of these fans. But fitment, it just worked out. Like I took measurements before, and I knew beforehand that I was going to have like 2 millimeters of clearance, going from the slim 420, just in pull only, to the thicker CE 420. So it's like the slim 420 is 28 millimeters, and this is 45. The thicker CE 420 is 45 millimeters. And then you add the additional fan. So I was going to pick up like I think 41 millimeters. So I already went in here and made all the measurements beforehand, but I was like, wow, it just fits. I don't know if you can see that if it'll focus. I have a replacement noise blocker fan coming from this guy. I tried to hide it, that one side is cracked. Fan still works, but the mounting, the frame is cracked there. So I have, the rationale for replacing that fan is that eventually one of these other fans is going to go. So I'll have a spare fan on hand when that happens, because these are getting old. These are 6 years old now. So that'll look better. I ordered a new replacement fan for the what is that? I think it's a Corsair AF 140, the Airflow 140. I don't like the way that fan sounds above 40% RPM. It has a really annoying buzz to it. So I splurged. I got a Noctua. I think it's when they're with their NH or their, is there a? It's not AF 140. They have a really quiet 140. It's the new is it the chrome? It's got that new color scheme where it's not brown or it's not gray, and it has like the mounting mechanism is like you can select which mounting grommet you want, and I'm just gonna run the black or the white. But it was $40 for a single fan, outrageous. So I have new fans coming, but yeah. So I upgraded the radiators, and I went from the single DDC to serial D5, and oh yeah, I have pictures. I'm experimenting with liquid metal on both the CPU and the GPU, and yeah, I shouldn't have fucked with this stuff. Let's see. So I was very careful, and I didn't get anywhere other than the GPU die. Problem is, and the temps were fabulous. Like I'm not kidding, dude. Like 39, 40 degrees. Full load with like the same ambient that I had with when I was running in my previous vid when I was running a Metro Exodus, when I was comparing all rad fans as intake versus all rad fans as exhaust, where I was hitting 46, 47 degrees. I was getting 39, 40 degrees. Same ambient, so we a drop of 7, 8 degrees. Fantastic temperatures, but what started happening pretty quickly was that my memory overclock was no longer stable. So previously I was stable like in somewhere between, it wasn't 100% stable, but somewhere between 11 and 1150 megahertz stable. And we're talking, Port Royal stress. Well, actually, to be fair, I don't think I've done a Port Royal stress test with those clocks, but I would get, the only game that I would have crashes with was Metro Exodus, but everyone's getting crashes in Metro Exodus. F1 2019, if the overclock's not stable, I'll get a crash in that in like within 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And those clocks were stable. After switching out the normal thermal compound for the liquid metal, I'll give you guys a nicer shot here. Yeah, memory overclock was no longer stable, so I dialed it back to 1100, then 1075, then 1050, and it just kept going down and down and down. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I was worried that because I'm using like the Fuji Poly G-lid thermal pads on the memory modules, and they're not like the factory thermal pads. They're the same height, so it's not an issue of it's not making contact with the water block. The problem is that they're almost like a putty like consistency, and I was worried that they may have compressed with the first application of the liquid metal, because there's less. The liquid metal is a lot thinner than standard, thermal interface material. So I was worried that while tightening down the GPU cooler, I was worried that I had really compressed the memory, because the first time I had the very first application of liquid metal, it's crazy because you see the reviews, right, and they say it works, but you don't apply too much. So I only did like a light coat, like it's almost like a paint. And I did a light coat on the GPU die, and I did a light coat on the water block where the GPU die meets the water block. And I made sure beforehand to use, I use conformal coating. It's basically a more expensive version of like a clear nail polish, because I like the conformal coating because if I need to RMA the card, I can just peel off the conformal coating, whereas clear nail polish, removing that might be a little bit harder. So I splurged. I got conformal coating. I put that on all the SMDs that surround the GPU die. So I mean, and I have pictures of because I've already disassembled the card 4 times. No liquid metal escaped the GPU die area and went onto the SMDs at all to begin with. But if it did, I had the conformal coating there, so that's not the problem. But where was I going with this? I have a tendency I'm going to have to break this video up into 10-minute segments because I'm at 9:36 and it's flashing. Samsung phone. Memory, I still haven't figured out how to do that. I think it might be because I'm at 1080p, 60 FPS. I'm not sure. But there's going to be a pause here because I'm going to have to break this up into 10-minute segments. Yeah, we will pause this and I'll return. Okay, part 2. I'll try to keep this under 10 minutes. Where's it going with this? Yeah, memory overclock, becoming unstable, liquid metal. Yeah, so I didn't think about this beforehand, right? But I would come in here, right? I'd open the chassis door. I'm sorry, so shaky. I'd come here, open the chassis door, and I would feel in here. I'd be like, okay, let's see how hot the backplate is, just like this. And what I used to do before is one thing you want to get in the habit of doing is, especially if you have carpet and you wear socks like I do, like a dumbass. Because I'm in San Francisco and it gets like, 65, 66 Fahrenheit ambient on the inside, especially in the mornings and in the evenings. Like a dumbass, I forgot to do that. I just haven't been doing that. Normally I come in and I would ground myself, touch the chassis, that grounds yourself. Then you can go around and fuck around, touch stuff. There may have been a few times where I came in and, oh, let's see how hot the backplate is, I want to see how hot the backplate is, and you touch that. Well, I'm wondering, why is my memory overclock unstable? Because, well, after the first time, I replaced all the thermal pads on the memory with actual factory thermal pads that came with the water block. Now, I was using the same height thermal pads, but they were better. Like I said, they're like the Fuji Poly, putty, they have much more, much higher conductivity in terms of, they're not electrically conductive like liquid metal. I'm saying heat conductive. But I changed those out just to rule that out because I was worried that I had compressed one of the thermal pads in one of the modules. And this is an ICX card, so it's basically 2080 Ti FE PCB, but it has those temp probes that for the Win 3 has. So I have there's 3 temp probes. There's one. I don't fully know if there's a temp probe on each module. And then what happens is that the average across all 3 modules per row is tabulated somehow and then sent over. I don't think that's happening. What I think is happening is that there's only one temp sensor per row, and it gives you the temp of the local module, right? So, yeah, I can see the temperature of the modules, and they weren't exceeding spec. This row right here, this row of memory right here, for some reason, this one right here, that's closest to the SLI tab, that one runs around, well, it was, when I had the older, better thermal pad on, around 49 degrees. Now it's running like 52, 53 degrees. So that thermal pad was at least worth 4 degrees on the memory. So I ordered some more 1mm replacement thermal pads because those were kind of beaten up. Because I'm going back again for a 4th time, I'll explain, or a 5th time. Oh, Jesus Christ. It sucks when you have a loop, because when you have to, oh, there's a problem, I can't just pull the card out. I have to completely drain the loop. Then I have to pressure, disassemble, reassemble, leak test. Oh, that EK leak tester, that thing is worth its weight in gold, dude. That thing saved my loop. I'll explain in a second. But, anyways, sorry to ramble on. The memory instability was happening because I believe that touching the back plate, okay, I have just Gila GC Extreme on there now. That GPU core is connected directly to the back plate because the water block screws go from the back plate directly into the water block. Now, it's deceiving or deceptive, because there's these little plastic washers that you put on top of the PCB, and for some reason that kind of I didn't even think about this. I figured, oh yeah, no. The back plate's isolated from the water block because of these little plastic washers. No, the screw is screwing into the screw holes within the back block, or the water block. So what was happening, what I believe may have been happening, but I'm still not entirely sure, was those times, and I did about 3 or 4 times, where I would come in, I believe, wool socks, carpet, static electricity being conveyed through the backplate down into the GPU core. That's the only thing that I can explain, because there was no, I'm talking none, and I got pictures, no at all, not a single droplet of the liquid metal had gone anywhere other than a GPU die. So I don't know how to explain this, but my memory overclock is history. Now it does it it went from like 1125, 1150 megahertz, plus 1125, 1150 megahertz in the memory, to now only plus 1025. So I lost around 100 megahertz in the memory, at least. And the problem I'm having is that whenever I think it's stable, I'll do like Port Royal stress test, like 40 minutes, and oh yeah, it's stable, it's stable, it's stable. And then the next day, that overclock is no longer stable, and I need to dial it back another 25 megahertz. And I'm trying to rule out whether or not it's the core that's unstable or it's the memory that's unstable, because yesterday there was some instability, and I dialed back the core overclock by 15 megahertz, and then it restored the stability, and I still don't know which is which. But before I go on and show you guys the temps, what I was talking about with the pump speed and the temperatures, I wanted to note another thing that I like about this the thicker radiators is that this distro plate, in this case, this is the Barrow TT71TG. What the hell is that? BDB version 1 V1. What I like about, I love this distro plate, no problems. But what I like about the thicker radiators, because I went from a PE360 to an XE360, is that it totally hides those LED hotspots. Because you get the LEDs right in there. You can still see them if I come all the way at this angle. But it really hides those LED hotspots from most angles. I think that's pretty much it for the update. I had to redo all the bends. Oh yeah, I had said I was going to get into why the EK leak tester is worth its weight in gold. So after redoing these bends, well, I had to redo the bends because I tried to use the old. Well, I always knew that this run right here that goes from GPU out up into the top up the top radiator via the distro block here. Say it goes GPU out, top rad, right, and then it goes down into the monoblock back there, and then it shoots over down into the distro plate, and then it goes from distro plate down into the pump, goes from pump to rad, right, there's my drain plug, rad, back up to GPU. Then the EK leak tester, so I had it like all the way at the end of the green, because I'm running, oh, it's crazy. Two D5's, the head pressure, it's way higher than single DDC. Single DDC, I think, is like 6 feet of head pressure, and two D5's is like 7.5, because it's double. It's nearly double the head pressure. But, where's it going with this? Yeah, I'm leak testing. I'm sitting here right in front of the computer, and I got the leak tester. I have it hooked up, you know, I hook it up in here with a snake fitting. And I'm like, whoa, it's not holding pressure, because it was slowly going down. It's not holding pressure. This is the first time I had it back together, and I was leak testing for the first time. And then, so I kept putting pressure, and I started, I go around, tighten everything, make sure everything's, you know, check all the tubes, tighten everything. And then after about 5-10 minutes of this, dude, this top tube right here, this one, no, it may have been this one, but it could have been this one. I can't remember. I think it was this one. Just popped out. It went, and this air shot out. I was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. So I redid this bend. I was forced to redo this bend, right? Forced to redo this bend here. And then I'm back in. I'm like, okay, let's leak test again. And I go back, more leak testing, and then this one comes out. This run right here that goes from the GPU out to the monoblock, that one popped out. I was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. So I ended up having to do, like, the only bend that I didn't redo was this one right here. So it's all new tubing, which is nice. Oh, and I got pictures, dude. Oh, the rationale for this initially was I just wanted more rad surface area, but I didn't realize I had a plasticizer problem, a lingering plasticizer problem in the rads, because the underside of this water block was so disgusting. I got pictures. The GPU water block, dude, like, it was like lime green, like crap, like just like an oil viscous kind of coating, all in the fin array, right? And I seen that, and I was like, well, maybe. So I went and I disassembled the GPU block, right? Had to disassemble and clean all that out. And if you guys are new to water cooling, if you're ever going to do this, clean your water blocks, I'm going to give you some information right now that you may not have heard from the manufacturer, because they're not going to tell you this. Don't use vinegar on nickel-plated anything. Vinegar will eat nickel, and don't use alcohol on acrylic. Alcohol will embrittle acrylic and make it really prone to fracturing and cracking. So you got to remember this when you're cleaning your stuff. Do not put vinegar on nickel-plated anything. In this case, it's nickel-plated copper. Do not put alcohol on acrylic. If you remember that, you'll be okay. So I used alcohol. I used rubbing alcohol, went in there with a toothbrush, went crazy. Then I rinsed that off with water, and I cleaned the acrylic portion of the block with just soap, making sure to check that, because some dish soap, you better check the ingredients. I have a dish soap from Trader Joe's that actually has alcohol in the ingredients. So I had a special fucking Whole Foods $5 bottle of dish soap that I have, that I used some of that. But anyhow, that I had a plasticizer problem from the EK DuraClear. That tubing is garbage. So it's a good thing that I upgraded. So I don't feel so bad about like not going with these radiators in the first place, because they are more performant. You know, as Jensen Huang would say, they're more performant versus the thinner counterparts. Because the XE360 is like 60 millimeter and the PE360 is like 38 millimeter. So you pick up like nearly an inch of thickness. In terms of overall, like there's a rating that EK uses a different rating, but I went from like 1,080 watts of cooling potential to 1,380. So I picked up about 30% cooling potential. It's almost like adding another, another 240 rad or something, or maybe another slim 360. Not the slim 360. The slim 360 doesn't perform very well, at least according to Extreme Rigs, but it's better. Dropped 7-8 degrees. Dude, I was seeing 39 to 40 degrees on the core, whereas before I was seeing like 46, 47 or higher. So definitely dropped 7-8 degrees. The radiator surface area in conjunction with running the pumps at full speed in conjunction with the liquid metal, which we're going to get into right now. I'm going to show you the difference between running these D5's at 50% and running them at 40% RPM. So this is craziness. Let me show you. Actually, we'll use the Port Royal. We'll use the Port Royal data. I think it's more interesting. I had to make a video of this because I was trying to use a snipping tool to show everyone, the difference. So here on the this Port Royal, just did a stress test. It's like let's see, how long is it? It's crazy how long this test is. It's 33 minutes running Port Royal, but this doesn't mean anything because I was 99.5% stable yesterday with plus 25 megahertz on the memory. So I have a situation here, and I'm trying to see if that. It seems like the degradation has slowed, reverting to standard thermal interface material. I believe that something was off with that liquid metal. Some kind of current, maybe. Also, there's something else that's touching the water block. Actually, this is the 2080 Ti EVGA 2080 Ti. XC2, so it's not the XC Ultra, it's the XC2. There's sensors on the PCB, but there's something that's actually coming into contact with the water block. I noticed when I was reassembling and checking the fitment of the block on the PCB. So for all I know, it wasn't even static electricity. There may be some kind of current that's being conveyed to the core from another component on the PCB. But anyhow, this is interesting for all you water cooling guys. Who say that pump speed does not matter. So I find that with the D5, even 50% RPM, there's like an unpleasant, subtle kind of like hum/buzz. And I find that at 40% RPM, this hum/buzz completely disappears. So you see right here, starting Port Royal, like within the first 4 to 5 minutes. It gets up, oh, fucker. I don't know why it switches on its own. It gets up to 44 degrees, and then it hits 45 right here. You can see that, it's 45. You see 45? And what happens is I have a thermocoupler, I have a temp probe that I've basically taped to the back plate for now. I have a 1/4 inch fitting water temp sensor from Barrow that's coming that I ordered recently. I actually ordered 2 of them, and I'm going to put them before and after the GPU. But for right now, it's the Ghetto thermocoupler that's taped to the back plate, and I have the water pump set to turn on to go to 100% when that thermocoupler reads 37 degrees. And I have it set to 37 degrees because I mine crypto at night to heat the apartment, and I find that mining crypto, the backplate doesn't get above like 35 degrees. So I wanted to have some headroom there because I don't want the pump coming on at night while I'm trying to sleep. It's not that loud, but you know, or when I'm just perusing the web in the day. Anyhow, 45 degrees, right? Watch what happens when the pump turns on. It goes from 40% to 100%. When those D5's go from 40 to 100% RPM, watch this. 45, watch this. Boom. It drops 5 degrees initially. It goes from 45 down to 40, right? What's crazy is that if you look at the CPU temperature, same thing happens here. CPU temperature goes up a like amount. So CPU temperature goes up. Oh yeah. You can see CPU temperature is the teal, fucker, dude, stop changing. Why does it do this? This is retarded. CPU temperature goes up a like amount. You see the teal graph there? CPU temperature goes up a little bit there. Anyhow, dude, you're so fucking annoying. I'm gonna switch to Afterburner. Hold on. This is fucking driving me crazy. It drops, right? Where are we at? Oh, dude, I don't even know where the fuck I am. Oh, it's, the data's elapsed. I can't go back. Okay, we're gonna have to stick with this. Anyways, it drops 5 degrees initially, but it's really only a 4 degree drop on average. Right, so it drops to 4 degrees, 45, and then goes 40, 41, 40, 41, 40, 41. Can you stop doing that, please? 42, 42, right, 42. And it stays about 42 degrees throughout the duration of the test. I don't know why CPU is spiking like that, that's weird. 42, 43, 42, yeah, so 42 degrees. Which is interesting because I'm going to go look at ambient. I just did this like half an hour ago. Ambient, okay? This is what I used to gauge ambient. Now, if you remember when I did the Metro Exodus, when I was comparing all rad fans as intake versus all rad fans as exhaust, and I found that all rad fans, at least in the View 71, this is a previous video if you guys want to check it out. View 71. All rad fans as intake was way hotter than exhaust. Not way hotter on the GPU, but all the other components. The GPU was still like, I think 5 or 6 degrees hotter. I can't remember exactly. It was hotter though. The thing with the V71 is that this case, because of the gaps in the chassis, you see these gaps here? This case isn't well suited for positive pressure. If you're trying to attain positive pressure in this case, it's a losing battle. So, yeah. So, all rad fans as intake excels with a case that's very well buttoned up and has a lot of positive pressure. This case, at least in my testing, all rad fans as exhaust, and then having fans as intake. Like I've got 1, 2, I have 3 90s. And I'm going to replace these with higher airflow fans. But, yeah. Anyhow, that's pretty much it. Don't mess around with the liquid metal on the GPU core if you have a water block. Because, my experience, there's no way to isolate. Just don't ever touch your backplate. If you're going to put liquid metal, there was a big difference though. Huge difference. I'll probably make an Imgur post, and I'll show like the difference between liquid metal was 4 degrees cooler. Like this is nothing, dude. This right here is nothing. 42 degrees there. It's only because ambient's really good right now. I mean, ambient was comparable, like 4 degrees cooler. So now I have water temp sensors coming, and I have, this is tea, it's not beer. I have water temp sensors coming. Oh, this is another fucking annoying thing. This goddamn, this thing sucks. G-Skill is garbage. I don't know why it's doing this. Oh, actually, you know, I wanted to show you guys, actually. Yeah, G-Skill just decided to crap the bed. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna open. I'm not gonna open. And you know what's funny? It's fucked up is I just restarted the computer and G-Skill already fucking crapped the bed. This software is absolute trash. If you're a G-Skill engineer, you should be ashamed of yourself. Your fucking software sucks. It always fails. But to be honest, Gigabyte software isn't any better. RGB Fusion is also trash. If I don't disable RGB Fusion, my display won't sleep. This is like a known problem, and they still haven't addressed it. If I leave RGBFusion.exe, the executable running, my fucking display won't go to sleep. So I have it set to auto task kill like 90 seconds after the PC boots. Like it says, it addresses the RGBs, it sets them, and then I auto kill it. But this fucking G-Skill is annoying, dude. Oh my god, your software fucking sucks. Here, let's at least put a wallpaper engine on while we're waiting for this thing to cooperate. Sorry. Wallpaper engine. Yeah, games I've been playing lately, Metro Exodus. F1 2019 is a surprisingly good, that one's pretty cool. Surprisingly good racing game. Okay, let's see if are you gonna cooperate? Let's see. Cooperate, please. Let's see. We're gonna find out right now if it cooperated. No, it did not cooperate. You're fucking broken. God damn, dude. I'm gonna restart the PC just because of this. I'm just fucking pissed. Eat shit. Oh, dude, so annoying. I wanted to show you guys how like when the pump comes on, it's pretty nice. I have it say here, if you guys have your case on the ground, you gotta think about this, and you have any kind of liquids, make sure you move your case over, right, in the event of a spill, so it doesn't all go into your case. There, it'll just drip right down into the ground. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen my setup. Love this monitor. This is my old monitor that I really like, the PG278Q for 3D vision, and I need to get that going. 3D Vision community has been pretty awesome because we've been keeping 3D Vision alive, actually, because NVIDIA ended official support as of like driver 425.31 last year. They just killed 3D Vision, but we've actually been taking the bits, the 3D Vision bits, and editing them or into the newer drivers is absolutely amazing. The work of these people. But let's see. Let's go over my peripherals while I wait for Windows to load. It's loaded. I've become a Logitech fanboy. Everything except for their G-Hub. Their G-Hub's okay, but if your computer crashes, G-Hub will just delete all your profiles. So now what I've gotten in the habit of doing, for all you Logitech guys, you just make a backup copy of your G-Tech profiles. I'm not G-Tech. Your fucking, oh jeez. Your Logitech, your G-Hub profiles. There's a folder, something settings.json. You just find those files and back them up. I could show you guys. Let me see. Control-Shift-F. Show you guys, you G-Hub guys, how to do this. Because this is annoying, because this will happen. You'll get a blue screen, and what will happen a good 40% of the time is, yeah. So here's what I have. I have backup Logitech G-Hub, right? I have to use everything because Windows used to be with Windows 7, you used to be able to hit like Control Find and it would do this, and then they didn't know this. So I just have all these files saved for G-Hub. If you go into your, if you search for G-Hub, you'll find these files here, settings.json, settings.backup. Copy these and make a backup folder because all your macros and stuff, oh dude, they're a bitch to remake. Because I have both the mouse, I have the GPW, G Pro Wireless, and this thing's modded. You can take out the power play module, right? That's like 5 grams, and that stupid the cover here, this back cover, and also the I think that's the power button. You don't need a fucking power button. I've dropped the weight by like 5 grams. Stock is like 80 grams, and I've dropped it down to 75. Just removing just useless. Just useless shit. Power play module is only useful if you have a mat, and there's some screws, a couple screws in there. Anyhow, I've become a Logitech fanboy because I really like this keyboard, this G815. This is the clicky. The clicky, right? And I just love how low profile it is. Super low profile. Because I'm 41 now, and my wrists, I find that with my previous keyboard, I had with the Corsair, what was it, the K70 low profile rapid fire. I find that even that is too high. So this is super nice. And what I used to be like a 10 keyless keyboard fanatic. Like my last keyboard is a K65, and I really like. I don't find the numpad useful because I'd rather have the mouse sweep area. What I've done is to recoup some of this space here and to move the keyboard further to the left is I switched from WASD to ESDF. This is the best thing that I've ever done. If you go from WASD to ESDF, so like here, WASD, you only have Q, Tab, Caps, right? And Z and Shift. When you switch over to ESDF, you open up all these additional keys. A, Q, W, right? You can still use Cap, Shift, and Tab, which I still do, right? I still use these for like sprinting and crouch toggle. But you just open up much more, and then these keys that were previously harder to reach, like T, G, B, all these keys, they're easier to reach now. So you actually, this is the way to, ESDF is the way to go, dude. And I wouldn't have done this had I not switched from the K65 to this. But love this keyboard, love this mouse, and I love the sound system. Like this is, if you have roommates that you don't have to worry about annoying, this is so nice. Oh, wallpaper engine. I don't have it set to turn on automatically. Oh, Steam didn't want to start for some reason. Yeah, because I have a VPN and it thinks it's a different address. If anyone wants to add me on Steam, I'm Vulcan57. Yeah, add me, Vulcan57. Anyhow, where was I going with this? I was gonna show you guys. Oh, that's right. We're gonna induce a load. We're gonna induce a load. This is a cool one. That's like a lake. We're gonna induce a load. I'm gonna show you what happens. Oh, first I'll show you how quiet it is. Oh, now fucking goddamn. Oh, dude. It just makes me want to yank the modules out and just throw them in the trash. This G-Skill shit is garbage. Stop fucking doing. Oh, now it's going to. Oh, dude. Oh, it's just so stressful. It's always something. It's always something. Okay. At 40% RPM, you can't even hear it. That's how it sounds when I'm mining crypto or on the web. Like, dude, that's with the door open. If I close the door, you can't hear it. I wish I recorded video with how loud the DDC was, because you had to. At the time, I was just running it at 100% RPM, because like the performance, it's like 3-4 degrees. If you don't run it at 100% RPM. Here's what happens when you induce a load. So we'll go to 3D Mark. Yeah, we're gonna run Time Spy. So I've been trying to gauge what's going on with the card, because I feel like I feel like the overclock is just constantly reducing. We'll just run Time Spy. Oh, well, I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna pause it and then we'll come back. Spy. Let's get all the vitals out of the way. So we have, what, 27 degrees? That doesn't matter. We're gonna run Time Spy. I just want to show you what the pump does with that thermocoupler. This is really nice. It looks cool too. Run Time Spy. And We'll keep an eye. I have it set in OSD. So we'll keep an eye on the temp from the temp probe that I've taped to the back plate. And as soon as it starts to get up to around 35 degrees, I'll show you what's going to happen and what the temps do. It's fucking crazy. So we'll keep an eye on the temps. Yeah, I love the upgrade, and it was necessary because I had a plasticizer problem in the older radiators that I didn't realize. I also cleaned up the monoblock. But yeah, I'm just not happy that I may have... I didn't kill the 2080 Ti, but I have an issue where the overclock is just... I think it's stable, and then it's no longer stable. And it's like, okay, no, it's no longer stable. Now it's 25 megahertz less. Now it's 25 megahertz less. It's just been an issue. So yeah, 337. This is just the XC2 BIOS, so it doesn't do more than 340 watt. I don't want to fuck with that yet because I want to figure out what's going on with the card first. I might try to flash to the For the Win 3 BIOS, but 42 degrees in the core. Yeah. And then you see this right here where it says PCIe 16, because at first I was trying to accomplish the pumps turning on with something other than the CPU, because the CPU is very erratic. You know, you see that the CPU temp is doing, goes from 40 to 50 to 40 to 35 to 45 to 50. So there's also a temp probe by the times 16 PCIe slot, and that would get up to, it would go from 28 to 35 eventually as the inside of the case warms up. I was using that initially, but then I found that this is actually more accurate because taping a thermocoupler to the backplate, that backplate gets so hot, it gets almost as hot as a GPU core. Like if GPU core runs around 45, that backplate will get up to 42 degrees. It runs around 3 to 4 degrees less than backplate. And then that value all the way to the right is the GPU core voltage. And then down here, the first row is the mem temps, 3 banks of memory, bank 1, bank 2, bank 3 in green. And then you have below that, that's all the VRM 3636. And then that's the memory overclock. It used to be 8100, 8125, 8150. And now this is where it is for stability. But let's watch what happens here when the pumps turn on, when that thermocoupler hits 37 degrees in the backplate. You're gonna see a drop of 4 degrees. It's crazy. Because I've read like everywhere that pump speed doesn't matter. Fan speed's the most important, right? And no, dude. When that pump goes from it takes a while to get to 37 degrees is an unfortunate side effect. I think I may need to lower that to 36. I just don't want it to come on while I'm mining crypto at night. I'm using NiceHash to mine crypto to heat the apartment to basically offset my heating bill is what I'm doing. And I don't want that to be more than like that temp that kicks the pump on. If it's too low, then it'll be erratic. It'll be like, you know, periodically. And I don't want to hear that. Now it's at 35 degrees. Once it gets up to 36, 37, which is taking a while, we might not see it happen. Ambient might be too good right now. Actually, yeah, that backplate is not warm enough. We're not even going to see this happen. Unless I do a loop, unless I try to do another one. I'll do another time spy test. But when I get my water temp sensor next week, this will be much better. Because the backplate, I noticed there's a latency. There's a lot of thermal mass in that backplate, and it stays cool for a while. Yeah. GPU cores at 44 degrees. Oh, backplate, you're not working, buddy. You're working too good. Heat up. Heat up to 37 degrees. It won't. The backplate temp is that value on like the fourth row down. That's to the left of the voltage value of the V core on the GPU. 2 more degrees. Can it do it? Can it hit 2 more degrees before the test ends? That's the question. Don't know if it's going to happen. Oh, 36 degrees. How much longer is this test? We'll do another loop. Let's see if we can squeeze in another loop. This is going to be an hour-long video. Yeah, hour-long video. I was just like, yeah, it'll be a 10-minute video. And as usual, my shit goes on and on. No. Oh, it might work. Oh, no, it's not going to work. No, it just hit 37 degrees. We're going to do another run. This is what it sounds like with full CPU load. You can't even hear it. Because I don't have the fan set to go on. They don't need to. Look at the CPU temps. Yeah, it does get up to 74 degrees. I have one core that's doing that, and I don't know what the problem is. And it was doing that before I even switched to liquid metal. One of the cores is like 15 degrees higher than everything else. It's fucking annoying. Yeah, not that special. 16237, that's what I was doing before. But if I turn off MSIAB, that score goes up like 300 points. Yeah, the OSD costs about 300 points. We'll do it again. We'll do this shit again. And then hopefully now the backplate's got a little bit of heat in it. I'll show you what happens. It's really cool. It looks and sounds awesome. But that's the way to go. You want to have your. I don't want to run 2 D5's at 100% all the time. But it's a 4-degree difference in performance versus 40% RPM. So when it gets up to 36, 37 degrees, we're gonna go look and hear what it sounds like. 2 D5's. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, but that EK leak tester, man, that thing is awesome, dude. It saved my loop at least 3 or 4 times already with the pressure testing. Because if I didn't have the EK leak tester and I thought that those all those runs weren't good, I would have been fucked. Oh, this is gonna take a while. God damn it. Heat up. I should just put on Port Royal torture test. That'll do it. Port Royal torture test will do it. But actually I want to do this because I want to make sure that it's stable in time spy a few times. What sucks is that every time I think it's stable, like I said, a day will go by and the next day, no. Even though you just did Port Royal fucking stress test for 35 minutes, that's no longer stable now. You got to reduce your overclock by 25 megahertz. So it's like I have a runaway performance degradation problem. I don't know what the cause is. I thought initially it was the liquid metal, and that seems to have slowed it, but it's not stopping. And I'm worried that maybe I just don't know. I don't know what's causing the problem. 35, 36. Once it hits 37. Okay, we'll go over and have a look. Because it's gonna happen soon. We'll look in here. That annoying buzzing sound's coming from the fucking fan there, which I'm changing out soon. It's nothing else. It's not the pump. It's a little subtle clicking buzzing sound from that. That guy. Watch, if I disconnect it, it'll go away. Or not. Maybe it's coil line. It could be coil line. Well, I ruled that out. I thought it was the fan. Here's gonna do it. Yeah, I think that's 100%. It went up as I ran out of space on the fucking phone. I can't stand how this phone limits your time. It's like a temperature thing, like to prevent the phone from getting too hot. Oh no, it still didn't do it. It's still at 36 degrees. It flirted with it. It wanted to do it, but look, you see that? You see it's 45 degrees. Watch what happens when as it goes on. It's gonna happen here. $46 right? Watch what happens when the pump goes to 100%. And I have the fan set like also to respond with motherfucker, dude. This is I should just put port rail stress test. This is fucking so annoying. Oh, now it wants to go to 100%. I can hear it. Dude, you're fucking annoying. Fighting with the phone and fighting with this. I should just put port rail stress test. This is just stupid. Oh. Okay, you see it's 45 degrees. Watch what happens when this value down here goes to 37. I'm gonna put port rail stress test. I'm tired of fighting with this. This is starting to piss me off. Watch, right as it gets to 38 degrees, it's gonna transition to the next test. Let's go, fucker. It could be because I opened the case door. Oh, dude, you're fucking annoying. There you go, 45 to 41. Do you see that? Do you see that? 5-degree fucking temp drop. When that value there, right there, temp probe on the back plate, gets up to, I set it to 37, but it's actually 38 for some reason. I mean, it could be a delay, a latency. There's like a 4-degree fucking drop in temperature at least. 4 or 5, actually it's 5 degrees, 4 or 5 degrees. That's what it sounds like, but honestly, that's better than it sounded with the DDC. Believe it or not, these D5's running at 100% RPM sound like the DDC did at 50% RPM. It's about half the volume. I'm not even kidding. Fucking DDC is so loud, it was just obnoxious. All right, I've had enough of this. I had enough fighting with TimeSpy, and this has become like an hour-and-a-half long video. I don't know. This might be my last update for a while. There's one more thing I wanted to cover, and I had an issue. Oh god! You notice that normally right there's my boot drive, and I have it down here, my Sabre 2 terabyte rocket. I had a problem where I got a crash, or my game locked up in fucking Metro Exodus. And I made the mistake. Normally, the safe thing to do is to hit Control-Delete, because you lose all control. It like locks up your computer. You're supposed to hit Control-Delete, was what I've learned to do. Hit Control-Delete, then log out, then log back in, then restart the computer. I was so pissed that I just hit the reset button. Hit the reset button, and when I came back in, I had a blue screen, and nothing worked. Recovery media wouldn't work. I tried to do a startup repair. I went into a command prompt. I did SFC scan now. I tried to rebuild the rebuild MBR, boot rec rebuild MBR, everything. Nothing would work. Couldn't get in a safe mode. Basically, what had happened was that crash was so bad it basically destroyed or corrupted my registry, and I had no registry backup because Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, after 1803. They said, hey, you know what? We can reduce the overall footprint of Windows if we just remove the backup registry. And my question is, how much space did you save doing this? What was it? Fucking 100 megabytes? Maybe half a gigabyte's worth of space? There's no backup registry now. You have to go in and go in and tweak it There's a way to undo this stupid decision, but most people, including myself, didn't even know this happened. So there's no registry backup after 1803. 1803 onwards, there's no registry backup. So everyone listening to this, I highly recommend you figure out how to back up your registry, how to turn that setting back on. I mean, Windows, man, Microsoft, how stupid. How much space did you save doing that? Fucking dumb. But I was lucky because when I upgraded from the Samsung, the former drive, that's just the 500 gigabyte Samsung, traditional SSD. I didn't want that. Well, it's actually lucky because there's not enough PCIe lanes for another drive. Putting that, for some reason, if you run like the M.2 NVMe up here, you lose 2 drives. You lose 2 SATA ports down here. It's fucking crazy. You lose 2 SATA ports. So in the process, I could no longer see that SSD. And it was like, well, do I want to give up a 2 terabyte, traditional hard drive, or do I want to give up my 500 gigabytes of SSD? So I just left that SSD alone in the chassis, and kind of forgot about it, and not wanting for more, space for games or SSD space, because I just picked up like a terabyte and a half of SSD space upgrading. But I love that drive. That Sabrent Rocket 2 terabyte, that thing is as fast as a 970 Evo, but it's half the price. No problems with the drive itself. The drive still works. I can still access it here. It's just the registry is corrupted, and that's not a drive problem. That's a fucking Windows problem. Here's the drive here. Here's the drive. Right? So if you look, it still shows up. I just renamed it Local Disk K. Right? So here it is. Here it is, 1.8 terabytes, and I don't know what to do with this. I got to make space. I have to delete a lot of prawn, and then try to move those games over, or something. It's gonna be a while till I put that Sabrent Rocket back as a boot drive. But yeah. Where's it going with this? A tendency to do this. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Totally lost my train of thought. I have a tendency to do this. Where was I talking? I talked about the stupid rocket. Oh yeah, that's right. That's what happened. So I got lucky that I had my old Windows. It was basically the old. It was like it only happened. I only upgraded to the 2 terabyte rocket like a month ago. So I only had to go back about a month because I actually have a backup drive. I have a 500 gigabyte, like a traditional hard drive, and what I tried to do was I tried to make a backup of the Sabrent 2 terabyte rocket, but it wouldn't work because to make a backup of the boot drive, you need a drive of comparable size. So now I need a fucking 2 terabyte backup drive if I want to use that Sabrent rocket. Or what I want to do when I get enough space is here's my cable management. I got it looped up under the desk, going over, mostly clean. What I want to do is I want to figure out if I can take that 2 terabyte rocket and make 2 separate partitions. And I'll have the first partition, right? Basically what I'm going to do is I want to try to make 2 drives on 1 drive. I think this can be done. So the first partition is going to be like 550 gigabyte in size. It'll be the size of the just the standard traditional hard drive that I have that I intend to put a system image on. And so now if Windows craps out again, right? This seems to be a frequent occurrence. It happens to me at least once or twice a year. It's fucking annoying. Usually related to a blue screen. Always related to a blue screen. But if I can partition that drive, that's what I'm going to do. Anyhow, coming up on 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. It's going to be a lengthy video, but this is I figured I'd go over everything, make it rather comprehensive, and try not to leave anything out. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good during this crisis, this fake pandemic. It's a fucking fake pandemic. I'll talk about it later.